Good afternoon, investors and corporates. Welcome to SET Digital Roadshow, the first quarter of 2023 performance review. This session will run about 45 minutes, including Q&A. During Q&A, investors may leave your question in meeting room chat box or you raise your hand function. We will open your microphone so you can ask the question to the company directly. May I now invite PTG Energy Public Company Limited to start the presentation.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Before we start, welcome everyone to SET Digital Roadshow for PTG Energy Public Company Limited, in reporting the performance of the first quarter of 2023. So before we dive into today's presentations, I'd like to introduce key speakers today. On my left-hand side, Khun Parameet Songwonchok-Wanit, Vice President and Head of Investor Relations, and I'm Noppasorn Wang, Investor Relations. Sawadee ka. So moving to our today's agenda, I will starting with the key highlights of the first quarter of 2023, followed by the PTG financial performance and oil business overview. Then Khun Parameet will run you through on non-oil business overview and end it with ESG development. Moving to our key highlights of first quarter of 2023. The company reached the newest high records of the company's history in terms of the oil sales volume and also LPG sales volume. On the first picture, in oil sales volume in this quarter, recorded at 1,474 million liters, an increase of 16.6% year-over-year, which I will elaborate more on the growth rationale in the following agenda. In terms of the second part, LPG sales volume also increased its sales growth of 42.9% year-over-year to 151 million liters. On the third one, the company has jointly invested in Arin Care with Julalat Hospital. The Arin Care is an online platform for pharmacists and pharmacies. The investment will benefit the company in form of the Max Point service for PT Max Card and PT Max Card Plus inside the Arin Care platform, which consisted of 3,500 stores in the platform nationwide. On the fourth part, the company has recently hosted the business outlook earlier in this year, where we target our growth plan in the next 5 years for both oil and non-oil businesses. In terms of oil business, in 5 years, we target to increase our retail oil market share of more than 25%, which currently at fourth quarter last year, we ended at around 18%. And for non-oil business, we targeted to increase our gross profit contribution in non-oil of 50%. So back in 2022, we have achieved our gross profit contribution in non-oil business of around 18%. And the last one, in terms of our awards and recognition, the company has PTG and Atlas received 2 major awards from Business Plus magazine. For PTG, received the most potential awards, and Atlas, which is the company's subsidiaries, achieved the Product Innovation Awards of 2023 for the PT aluminum-made household gas cylinder, namely the PT Alumax. Moving to the financial performance of Agenda 2, the revenue in this quarter recorded at 50,936 million baht, an increase of 30.7% year-over-year and 4% Q-over-Q. The growth was mainly attributed to the oil business, which grew, the revenue grew by 28.6% year-over-year and 3.8% Q-over-Q to 47,790 million baht. The reason is from the newest high records of sales volume in oil of 1,474 million liters, and also the average retail price at 32.41 baht per liter. non-oil business also grew within itself as well, of 74.6% year-over-year and 6.7% Q-over-Q growth to 3,146 million baht as a result of the LPG and Pantai coffee businesses. If you look in terms of the revenue contribution of non-oil, you can see that in this quarter, our non-oil revenue proportion of the revenue proportion was at 6.2% on the pie chart on the right-hand side. For the gross profit in this quarter, also recorded at 3,167 million baht, an increase of 10% from previous quarter and 23% from previous year. The primarily growth still derived from oil business, which recorded a gross profit growth of 18.5% year-over-year and 13.6% Q-over-Q. The increase was resulted from the aforesaid of the sales volume, and also compared to the previous quarter, the growth was also derived from the marketing margin that we have achieved, as the government has increased the ceiling marketing margin from 1.4 baht per liter to the range of 1.8 to 2 baht per liter from February 14 onwards. And in terms of non-oil business, also grow by 44.8% year-over-year and slightly decreased by 2% from previous quarter. And the growth still derived from LPG and Pantai businesses as well. So if you look in terms of the gross profit contribution of non-oil business in this quarter stood at 20.1%, which LPG still remain the largest proportion of 9.4%, followed by Pantai of 4.8%. In terms of the EBITDA, also increased from the previous quarter by 24.6% Q-over-Q and 15.2% year-over-year to 1,455 million baht. The increase was from the forces of the oil sales volume, and also the company has realized more higher profit sharing from the company's joint venture. As you can see, the share of profit and loss, share of profit from investment in associates and JVs grew by 53.2% year-over-year and 162.3% Q-over-Q. Within the reasons of the increase in EBITDA, along with the company's policies on controlling the SG&A expense, the net profit in this quarter has reached a growth of more than 10,000% from the previous quarter and a growth of 73.6% year-over-year to 284 million baht. Let's move on to the oil business overview, starting with the overall industry in Thailand's oil consumption. In all channel consumption in this quarter stood at 8,935 million liters, a slight increase of 0.3% from previous quarter and a growth of 1.6% from previous year. The increase was as a result of the overall economic recovery following the relaxation of the COVID-19 restriction. And in terms of the right-hand side, retail consumption in this quarter stood at 7,224 million liters, a slight decrease from previous quarter, but increased from the previous year by 5.7%. The year-on-year growth was as a result of the benzene fuel by 9.6% year-over-year, and the diesel also increased by 3.6% year-over-year from the government's measures such as the reduction in diesel excise tax and the implementation of oil fund mechanism, which limited the fuel price to the 35 baht per liter. So let's move into our sales volume. As I mentioned earlier that we had created the newest high records, once again for a second consecutive quarter, which stood at 1,474 milliliters. The increase was as a result of the higher same-store sales in first quarter of 2023 of 17.3% year-over-year and 5% Q-over-Q. This was due to the ongoing economic recovery, and the growth from the previous quarter was also derived from the PT Max Card and PT Max Card Plus members. If you look in terms of the product contribution, you can see that the D-cell also increased itself by 6.8% Q-over-Q and 15.8% year-over-year. And it was the second quarter as well that we have surpassed 1 billion liters of D-cell sales volume, and we contributed our D-cell products of 74.5% of total contribution in this quarter. With this reason, you can see that the retail market share in this quarter also increased from the previous quarter. In fourth quarter, the retail market share stood at 17.9%, and in this quarter, we gained more to 19.2% in this quarter. And in terms of the company station expansion, in this quarter, we have our service stations at 2,160 stations, which can be divided into oil cocoa of 1,815 stations, increased by 6 stations, and oil dodo of 345, which increased by 5 stations from the previous quarter. And if you look in terms of the regional distribution, you can see that Northeast, northern part, and eastern part contributed largest proportion of 27%, 22%, and 12% respectively. Next is the non-oil business overview. Khun Paramet will run you through on this part.
Okay, so now move to the non-oil business. We can see that the non-oil business of PTG grew in all aspects from the first quarter of previous year, whether it be touch points of revenues, gross profit, and gross profit contribution. So start with the touch points. We recorded at 1,626 touch points, increase 100 from the end of the previous year. I will elaborate more in the next slides in terms of the details. And for the revenue, we end up at 3,146 million baht, increase 6.7% Q-over-Q and 74.6% year-over-year, which is close to our target at 80%. And for the non-oil gross profit, we recorded at 636 million baht, 20.1% gross margin percentage, and close to the previous year at around 651 million baht. And for the gross profit contribution, we recorded 21% mix with the gross profit. The remaining 80 belongs to oil. And so this 20.1% is in line with the target of 20 to 30%. This is the overall touch points, 1,626 of a non-oil business of PTG. We have currently 570 stores for Pantai Coffee and 506 locations for the LPG, which can be separated by auto LPG of 234 stations and 273 gas shops for the household one. And for the Max Mart, we have 380 locations, 26 Coffee World coffees. And for the auto bags, we have 49 locations. And the Maxiton lube change, we have 54 locations, together with Maxcam of 67 rest areas and 35 stations of EV stations. This is as of 30 of March, end of the first quarter. Let's get to the LPG business. Start with the LPG consumption of Thailand. We can see that the all-channel consumption of LPG is quite flat from the previous quarter, recorded at 1,648 milliliters, but increased 3.9% from the previous year. We can separate into three business, household, three channels, sorry. The household, auto, and industrial. From the left, bottom left, we can see that the household LPG quite stayed the same with the previous quarter at 970, and quite close to the first quarter previous year as well. But the key increase of the LPG consumption in Thailand goes to the auto LPG in the middle column. We can see that it increased from the previous year of 11.8%, from 311 to 348 milliliters. And for the industrial as well, that increased 7.6% year over year and 3.2% Q over Q, recorded at 330 milliliters. And by all of this, you can see that the contributions is quite stay the same from the first quarter from previous year. Household decreased a bit from 61% to 59%, and increased 1% to the auto and industrial. Auto increased from the tourism sector, the economy back to normal, and then so many things in terms of transportation, they get back to normal. For the PTG sales volume, end of the first quarter this year, we record the new high, as Khun Nopasan said, at 151 milliliters. You can see that it increased majorly from the auto from the previous year. So sorry, the auto stayed the same. No growth from the previous quarter, but for the household and industrial, it grew by 36.4% year over year. Sorry, 33.4% Q over Q, the household and industrial. And we can see that from the previous slide, the market growth of the auto LPG is 11.8%. But for PTG, we grew at 36.4% year over year. So we surpassed the market. And together with the household and industrial, we grew 58.8% year over year, while the market is like grow for just only single digit. So we surpassed the market. And for the right column, you can see that our household get increased in terms of the mix of the volume, from 29% in the first quarter previous year to 32.2% this quarter. So we aim to go more in terms of the cylinder, in terms of household gas. That's why we focus more on that. We expand more gas shop, so the mix change a little bit. Now move to the LPG market share. The all channel market share increased from 7.5% in the previous quarter to 8.1% this quarter. And for the auto LPG, we still stay the number one market share at 25.5%. And for the touch point, the red one is the first quarter of previous year, and the green one is this quarter. So you can see that the auto LPG doesn't change much from 223 to 234, but the big increase belongs to the gas shop. We increased from 193 to 273, grew significantly from last year. And for the distribution in each region, is kind of in opposite side with the oil, because majority of them, 28%, it was located in the Bangkok and vicinity. Yes. For the Pantai business, the touch point, we end up at the 570 touch points or stores, increased 59 stores from the end of the previous year. And for the Pantai sales increase, we recorded at 263 million baht this quarter, increased 5.1% Q over Q and 82.8% year over year. Together with gross profit increase as well, from 138 in the previous quarter to 151 this quarter, increased 9.4% Q over Q and also 71.2% year over year. with a gross profit margin of 57.4%. The reason of the increase of Pan-Thai sales belong to the first is the expansion. This year we expanded a lot, and second is the mechanism of the loyalty program that we use in terms of marketing. We have the repetitive customers come back and then use the privilege of the Max Card Plus, and that's the key. And for the MaxMart business, the touch point is 318 touch points at the end of the first quarter, increased 9 stores. And for the sales we recorded at 466 million baht. This quarter increased 6.5% Q-over-Q and 51.3% year-over-year. This number is in line with the station sales because it's like the correlation between the traffic of the oil stations and the MaxMart. So increase in line with the stations. And for the MaxMart gross profit, we recorded 80 million baht, increase of 4.2% Q-over-Q and increase 58.6% year-over-year. And the MaxMart gross profit is around 17%, 17.2%. For the auto bags business, for the touch point, at the end of the first quarter, we had 49 touch points, increased 4 touch points from the previous quarter. And for the sales, we recorded at 116, increased 1.3% Q-over-Q and almost 80% year-over-year. And also the gross profit at 26 million baht with 22.2 gross profit margin, increased 0.4% Q-over-Q and increased 65.9% year-over-year. This is from we can see that it increased a lot in the previous year, in the last few years. This because of the effective marketing campaign, and now people know our brand awareness from the auto bags now get into the market more. And also in the first quarter, the consumer, like, because they are going to be the long holiday in April, so the customer prepare their cars for the upcoming holidays in the April for the Songkran festival. We can see that all non-oil business, majority of the non-oil business increase in all aspects in terms of touch points, sales, and gross profit. And this is this year, 2023 outlook and the guidance and the target. Let's say, the left-hand side is the target of our network, and the right-hand side is the target of our performance. So start with the left-hand side. This year, for the oil station, our target is 2,206 stations, increase of 57 from the previous year. And now we have, at the end of the first quarter, we have 2,160. So it's quite in line with the target in terms of the time pass of the first quarter of 3 months. And the second one is a non-oil touch points. Our target is 2,748 non-oil touch points. Now it can be like categorized by LPG business of 574 LPG business or LPG touch points, and 1,500 of Pan-Thai coffee stores, and remaining belongs to 674 other non-oil touch points. You can see that the big majority belongs to the Pan-Thai, as we set the target from the 511 touch points this year, last year, to this year at 1,500 touch points. So about 1,000 increase. We separate by the quarter, quarter 1, 100, quarter 2, 200, quarter 3, 300, and quarter 4, 400. So the quarter 1 we supposed to have 600 in total, right? But because of in terms of the construction, in terms of new franchisee, we had to set up the permission, many things. It's a little bit short from 600, so we end up at 560. However, we foresee that by the end of the second quarter, now the construction already done and many things is in pipeline, is in timeline that we can control. So we foresee that it will be close to 800 that we target in the second quarter, at the end of the second quarter. And this is the network. And for the performance, in terms of the sales volume of oil, we target at 8 to 12% increase year over year in full year, right? In the first quarter, we overachieved at the growth of 16.6% from the previous year. And for the LPG, we in line with the target of 40 to 60%. We achieved at 42.9% for the LPG. However, for the non-oil, a little bit short because we expect to grow on the non-oil sales of 80 to 90%, but we grow around 74.6%, which is close to the lower bound. And for the non-oil gross profit contribution, we expect to have the contribution of non-oil GP of 20 to 30%. And now in the first quarter, we have 20.1%. For the EBITDA growth, our target is 8 to 12%. And in the first quarter, we overachieved at 15.2%. For the CapEx of the year 2023, the total remain the same. We have the CapEx budget or the target of 5,000 to 6,000 million baht. Belongs to oil 1,000 to 1,500 baht. This covers the new expansion of oil station together with the renovation, because we would like to increase in terms of new store sales together with same store sales. So we renovate a lot this year. And for the second one is a non-oil business. As you can see, we aim to open a lot in Pan Thai coffee. So this is belong to the Pan Thai business, majority of them. And for the new business, 1,500 to 2,000 baht. This belong to this year. We already signed the contract with the with the PEA in terms of we construct the power plant 4.5 megawatts of the power plant, and then we already have an agreement to sell the electricity back to the PEA. This power plant is located in Songkhla, in the southern part of Thailand. And with the remaining budget will belong to the business related to members. We plan to leverage and utilize the members more in terms of the business, in terms of like provide the privilege, provide the solution for the members in our ecosystem of 20 million members. And for the ESG development, we have both CSR and CSV. In the first quarter, we have, as we do as usual, a PT volunteer camp. We care and leave no one behind. So we have an eye examination for elderly people in Pisanulok in the upcountry. We have an ophthalmologist to provide glasses to examine the eyesight of the elderly and provide the glasses and provide the knowledge for them to take care of their eye health. And together with our CSV, we collaborated with the Department of Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce. So we help poultry farmers in terms of distribute the eggs. So we combine, we integrate the egg into our business. We provide the eggs, the free of eggs to the members that refill the oil or together with LPG gas, whether it be one of each other, either one. And so we do it in 13 provinces throughout nationwide.
This session has come to the end. Thank you very much, investor and corporate, for joining the conference. If you need further detail, please feel free to drop us an email. Thank you very much.
ขอบคุณมากครับ
Thank you.
สวัสดีครับ Thank you
ขอบคุณครับ